Hello everyone. I am going to be talking to you guys today about color schemes. You all should have this worksheet in front of you while listening to this and taking some notes over each of the different color schemes. You're going to notice these circles over here. What I highly recommend that you do is that you color in. So for example, secondary colors would be, oranges, greens, and purple. So you'll color in green, you'll color green, orange, you'll color orange, purple, you'll color in purple. So you're going to color in those parts of the color wheels. Another example would be analogous that we're going to talk about, which are colors next to each other on the color wheel. So you might want to color in 2 or 3 colors next to each other on the color wheel. So as you take notes, also be using these color wheels on the side to color in as a good model for each of them. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I know this first part we've already talked about, but I'm just going to review it real quick so that you can put it on your notes. So we talked about that color has 3 dimensions or qualities: hue, value, and intensity. Hue is the name given to a color, such as red, yellow, or violet. Value is the lightness or darkness of a color, such as red. By adding white, we get tint, which becomes pink. And shade, you have red, you add black, you get shades. You get a burgundy or a maroon. Intensity is how bright or dull a color is. And we did this on our intensity scale with the yellow and the violet. Fuchsia is high intensity, olive is low intensity, so how bright something is versus how dull something is. And then these are the neutrals: white, black, gray, and beige. So you can fill those in as well. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about color schemes. There are certain groups of colors that work well together, and they're often referred to as color schemes. So when you select colors for a room, you want to consider some sort of color schemes. And there's many that have worked very well together over the years. So here's our color wheel. So we know our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. They're pure. You cannot create these colors using any other colors. And all colors are created using these 3 colors. And as you know, they're equal distance from each other on the color wheel. We know secondary colors are created mixing 2 primary colors, such as orange, green, and violet. And tertiary colors are made by mixing equal amounts of adjoining primary and secondary colors. Okay. So the first color scheme is monochromatic. Mono meaning one, and chromatic, chroma, color. So one color. So it is a color scheme using one color and tints, tones, and shades of that color. So on your color wheel, you can also color maybe, for example, blue or red. Just pick one color, color that in on that slice. Now, keep in mind, if you have a blue color scheme, a monochromatic blue color scheme, that doesn't mean every single thing in there is blue. But that's the main color, okay? But you will also have neutrals. You can look in this room and you can tell blue is the monochromatic color scheme. There might have some blue, light blues, some dark blues, and then some neutrals in there as well. You can also have a monochromatic color scheme with creams, browns, whites, off-whites as well. Here's an example. This has got a lot of blue, but here's an example of a monochromatic blue room. An example of a monochromatic violet room. Again, it's accented with white in this particular room. Here's a monochromatic blue room and a monochromatic neutral tones or browns room. The next one is analogous. Analogous, you could try to say that. It's a color scheme that uses colors next to each other on the color wheel. So the example that we see here has blue, blue-green, green, yellow-green, and yellow. So it actually has about 5 colors next to each other on the color wheel. Some cases you may just have 2 or 3. Note that even though these are very bright hues of 5 colors next to each other on the color wheel, they are analogous, even though they are bright. They could be very light tints of the color, and that's fine. It could be a pink, which is a tint of red. You know, you might have a really light orange and a really light yellow, but those are all next to each other on the color wheel. So here's an example of red, orange, and yellow in an analogous room. This one right here uses blue and greens, which are right next to each other. Same with this room. This room's using orange, yellow, and a light green or a yellow green. And of course it's got some neutrals in there as well. The next one is complementary. So you're going to notice these are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, such as red and green, or violet and yellow, or orange and blue, for example. So you're going to color in 2 colors right directly across from each other on your color wheel. And again, this says note that even though the colors are dulled red and green, they're still complementary. You can see we have different shades and tints of these colors. Both of these are complementary red and green rooms. This one has darker shades of red and green. This one has got a brighter red and green colors in its room. Here's another one that uses violet and yellow. One that uses red and green. Another one that has orange and blue. And then we have another one that's yellow. I should say, yeah, yellow and violet. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but it's right across from each other. So then we have double complementary. Double complementary is a color scheme that uses 2 sets of complementary colors. So in this case, we've got yellow and violet and green and red. Okay, so this one's a little bit trickier to find, but you can see here they've got yellow and violet, and they also have red and green. So this is double complementary. Same with this one. The next one is split complementary. Okay, so a complementary color scheme, for example, would be red and green. Well, notice green is not highlighted. They've split. They have the yellow-green and they have the blue-green. So it's red, blue-green, and yellow-green. This is split complementary. So if we look at our picture, we have pink, which is a shade or a tint of red. And then we have, the bluish green color and the bright green, like yellowish green color. So it says this color scheme uses 3 colors, 1 color with the 2 colors on either side of its complement. Okay, and you can see a few more examples. Maybe you can look at your color wheel and pick out what colors are used in these rooms. There should be 3 colors for each that are predominantly used. Okay, then we have triad. Triad is a color scheme that uses 3 colors equal distance from each other on the color wheel. A very common one would be using the primary colors, and you might see that in a kid's room. So red, blue, or yellow. Or maybe using the secondary colors, maybe green, orange, and violet. Or even some of the tertiary colors as well. But it's 3 colors equal distances from each other on the color wheel. And here you can see violet, yellow, and green are used. Again, these are triad color schemes. So it looks like they've got orange, blue, and probably more of a yellow color in there. Or red, blue, and yellow, probably. Just different shades of that. Same with this one. Okay, it looks like they have secondary triad here with the secondary colors. Then we have a neutral color scheme, and this is a color scheme that uses whites, blacks, grays, and beiges. Next, we have accented neutral color scheme. And this is a color scheme which combines white, black, gray, and sometimes beige with a bright color accent. So, for example, the accent color would be yellow, or orange, or red. It could be blue, green, whatever. Then we have warm colors, and these are colors that are on the warm side of the spectrum, which, for example, would be red, yellow, and orange. And this goes all the way from red all the way to yellow-green. So you can color in each one of those colors on your color wheel. Then we have cool colors, which are blue, violet, and green. So on your color wheel, you can color all the way from green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, and red, violet. And that is it. So once you have recorded all of those notes, I will tell you what you are going to do next. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is you will be getting this worksheet here, and you're going to notice that there are 4 rooms that look the exact same. Okay, and on the side of each room, it gives a color scheme. Okay, so for example, complementary color, we know complementary colors are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. So let's say red and green, okay, for example. So you need to color this entire room in that color scheme. Now, that doesn't mean that every single thing has to be red and green. But I want this to look like a photograph. So you see how there's wood floors. Color your floors brown. Color some of your furniture brown or gray or white or whatever, a neutral color. Okay, and then, you know, maybe you'll have an accent wall, or maybe your walls will be neutral, and you're just going to be, you know, coloring in your accessories and maybe a couple pieces of furniture or whatever that display that color scheme. Okay, so everything needs to be colored, but when I look at this room, I can tell that is a complementary color scheme that was used in that room. Okay, what you will also do before you color, on the front table, there is a bucket of paint samples. So you would pick out your red and green or whatever colors you choose that were complementary. Okay, you're going to cut a square of red and a square of green, or whatever 2 colors you choose. And you're going to glue them right in here. Okay, so this is going to tell me, oh, their complementary color scheme is going to be red and green. Okay, and then you are coloring it based on those 2 colors. Split complementary, we know that is a color and then the 2 colors on the opposite side of its complement, on either side of its complement. So then you have to color this room in a split complementary color scheme. So on this one, you should have 3 color swatches. They don't have to be very big, not teeny tiny either. And you're going to glue those 3 paint swatches right here. So these colors should be pretty close to those 3 colors you choose there. But when I look at those, I should be able to tell those are split complementary colors. And again, you may color your wood floor brown or gray or whatever, but then everything else should have, at least some parts of it need to be in that color scheme. Some things will be neutral as well. Now here, where it says colors used, that's where you're going to glue just small samples of your color swatches.